Whenever I try this interval session, I always explode. I hear that from cyclists quite a lot. Typically, they find a workout on Swift or another online platform, they ride at their recommended percentage of FTP, and they end up exploding before the workout is done. The reason why this often happens has to do with certain characteristics of the FTP concept, or in fact with any big sets of data. And my claim is that when you understand what I'm about to tell you, you will be that much more confident in pacing your intervals better. Now, as you probably know, FTP has been defined as the highest power output that a rider can maintain at a quasi-steady state for approximately 1 hour without fatiguing. Now, because doing a 60-minute maximal effort test is quite strenuous, FTP is often estimated by doing a 5 plus 20-minute maximal effort test, whereby you use 95% of your 20-minute power as your estimate for FTP. Now, what happens if you ride until you blow up at the power estimated by that FTP test? Well, you would expect to last about 60 minutes. But that's not necessarily always the case. A study from 2018 looked into this, and they found that cyclists were able to ride for an average of 51 minutes at 100% of their FTP, as estimated by the Allen Coggan test protocol I mentioned before. And that's fairly consistent with our definition of FTP. However, those were the average results. You're not necessarily the average of a big group. So we're not only interested in the averages, but also in individual results and how much they deviate from the mean. In this study, they also did a 60-minute maximal effort test. And out of 23 riders, 10 had a difference of more than 15 watts in their FTP estimates derived from the 60 and 20-minute test. 5 riders had a difference of more than 25 watts between the tests. And this impacts your ability to maintain a given percent of FTP during an interval session. So while it may be possible for one rider to maintain, say, 107% of FTP at a 4x8 minute high intensity interval, it may be entirely impossible for another. So how do we get around this problem? Perceived effort. Personally, I tend to recommend that athletes start by pacing their intervals by feel predominantly. For instance, start out at an intensity that you're confident you can maintain for the entire duration of an interval. Obviously, you record your power output, and depending on how you went, you can adjust feel and power accordingly next time. Precisely how hard you should go during an interval session is a bit of a black box. It probably depends on several factors, such as what you want to achieve, what your plan looks like, and what your fitness level is like. But if you put a gun to my head, a recommendation that I often give is to aim for the highest average power that you can just maintain for the entire duration of the session. And from there, you back off a little bit, so that you have about one more effort in you when completing the session. But again, that's very generic advice that probably depends a bit with the circumstances. In summary, there are big individual differences in how long we're able to maintain a given percent of our FTP. And if you're having problems executing your intervals at a given percent of FTP, the solution could be as simple as allowing yourself to pacing your intervals by feel. There is even research to support that athletes are able to do this very well and with good results. If you want to learn more about this topic, check out the links in the description below. Thanks for watching and see you next time.